helpful and thought-provoking. We appreciate it. Our second speaker is Doyline, and let me give you a bit of an introduction to Doyline. The title of Doyline's speech is How to Become a Diversity and Inclusion Champion, What Business School Taught Me, or maybe what business school didn't teach her. Just a minute. Diversity and inclusion is one of today's hottest business topics. Today, Doyline shares with us a personal story about diversity and inclusion. She recounts an experience in business school that gave her a huge lesson about success and winning. Her speech inspires all of us to expand our professional and personal circles by becoming diversity and inclusion champions. Please welcome Doyline.
In 1981, and I don't want to hear any snickers, I made the decision to go to business school. I attended a nationally top-ranked institution. In my first semester there, I learned a really big lesson about diversity and inclusion. Today, I want to share that lesson with you. In addition, I am hoping that my sharing will inspire you to become what I call a diversity and inclusion champion. Now, before I get started with my presentation, the first thing I want to do is give you some disclaimers. First of all, my presentation isn't a political statement. It's not a statement about right or wrong. It's not a statement about what should or should not be. Also, I'm not a diversity and inclusion expert. I've written no white papers, and I have no special certifications in diversity and inclusion. However, one thing that I know is people. And diversity and inclusion is all about people. Diversity and inclusion is one of the hottest topics in business today. There are a lot of highbrow definitions about what diversity and inclusion is. But the one that I like is that diversity is when you're invited to a party, and inclusion is when you're asked to dance. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Very visual. So let's start with my story. I'm in my first semester at the University of Texas. One of the courses that I have to take is called Operations Research 101. Now, I'm not going to get into what operations research is because honestly, it has no importance to understanding the lesson that I'm going to share with you today. However, what I'm going to do is tell you about the makeup of the class, tell you how success was measured in the class, and also tell you how me and my team ended up earning the highest grades for the semester for that class. You know, business school is sort of like a microcosm of corporate America, and also in many ways of America in general. So So kind of notice some of the parallels that I'm about to share with you. First of all, my class was 96 to 98% white Americans. There was one black American, that was me. There were 2 international students, and there was one very obvious technology geek, and there were more men than women. There was little diversity. That was 25 years ago, and I would go to say that in many cases we see those same parallels today. The other thing was success in this class depended on teamwork. And already in play in the class was the whole notion that people like to work with people that they know and look like them. So just sit back and envision yourself in this class. On the first day, the professor says, welcome everybody. I want you to know that success in this class is going to be driven by team projects. He says, so today, I want you to form your teams. He said, I'll give you 10 minutes to do that. So everybody scurried. And teams were made. And I sat in the class and I looked around and realized that I wasn't on a team. The international students weren't on a team. And the computer geek was not on a team. We were all just sitting there looking like, we don't know anybody, who do we go to? And so what I realized at that moment is that I needed to be a risk taker. The only thing that was left for me were the 2 international students and the computer geek. And so I walked over to each one of them and I said, listen, I don't have a team. Would you like to be on my team? I'd never talked to these individuals. I knew nothing about them, but I reached out to them. We formed a team. Now I'm gonna fast forward in this group process here to kind of share with you what my strategy was. My strategy with the group was that I valued everyone that was in my team because boy, I was lucky they were there, because if they weren't, I wouldn't be on the team. I took time to ask each of them how they wanted to contribute to the team. What did they feel was their strength? And regardless of what they said, one said, you know, I'm a good thinker. The computer geek said, I can create a computer model for anything. I accepted those skills authentically and I used them. I told them I was a good writer. So I wrote, we had a computer model, we had different perspectives outside of the American thinking. We had to do 3 projects. Using that diverse team, in each project that we did, we came out as the #1 team. We awed our classmates because we were bringing to the table things that they couldn't. All of our projects were innovative in using computer models. We had one individual on our team that was a great presentation person. And so he always presented our information. We just rocked. And so if you were a scientist studying social interaction and outcomes of that class, you would have been making notes like this. There's bias that exists. You have to be a risk taker. There's talent everywhere, especially where you least expect it. And he would have said, Doyline was a champion of diversity and inclusion. So with all of that said, why would you want to be a champion of diversity and inclusion? I'm going to ask a few questions, and I'd like you to raise your hand and keep them up if your answer is a yes. Who in here likes to be on a winning team? Who in here believes, keep your hands up, who in here believes that they're a winner? Who in here wants to be perceived and recognized as a winner? The majority of the hands in this room stayed up for at least one of the questions, if not all. So here's the plan, and here's the great news. It's easy to become a diversity and inclusion champion. First of all, just be diversity brave. Reach out to people who are different than you. Commit to the notion that you want your circle to be diversified. Set a goal. Say, this month I'm going to meet someone new. And I know you're thinking, Doyline, that's easier said than done. And that takes me to 3. Stop hiding. Stop hiding behind small talk. When you meet someone, say more to them than, oh, I'm John Doe and I work at Nationwide. Say something intriguing like, on my way here, a red ball fell out the sky. Did you see it too? And what do you think that might mean? Diversity and inclusion wins. To end my message today, I just have a few questions. Are you looking to be a higher performer? Are you doing things with the same people, the same old way, on the same teams at work? I say change. Become a big winner. Invite different people into your professional and personal circles, and then ask them to dance. I already see it. All of you are diversity and inclusion champions.